Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoyed today's video, please click like and subscribe down below because this helps others find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is lesson number 101. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Just saying that brings me so much joy, my friends. How about you? God's will for me is perfect happiness. This tells me that any time that I'm not in perfect happiness, I'm off track. There's something going on. I'm either thinking about the past, which makes me depressed, or I'm worried about the future, which makes me anxious. When I'm right in the center, right here, right now, resting in God, I find perfect happiness. Now, this doesn't mean that life isn't difficult sometimes, my friends, but when I can see that there is a purpose even in the most difficult circumstances, I can be happy no matter what. Let's read today's lesson. Today, we will continue with the theme of happiness. This is a key idea in understanding what salvation means. You still believe it asks for suffering as penance for your sins. This is not so. Yet you must think it so while you believe that sin is real and that God's Son can sin. The ego tells us that we need to do penance for our sins. This is not true, my friends. This is an old belief that many of us grew up with as children. Anytime that I got caught doing something wrong as a child, I was punished. This instilled the belief in me that any time that I did something wrong, I deserved to do penance. I needed to grovel. I needed to feel bad for a certain period of time before I would feel that I had done enough penance that now I could be relieved of the guilt of doing whatever it is that I thought I had done. This is all ego-based thinking, my friends. None of it is real. This is not God's will for us. Let's read on. If sin is real, then punishment is just and cannot be escaped. Salvation thus cannot be purchased but through suffering. If sin is real, then happiness must be an illusion, for they cannot both be true. The sinful warrant only death and pain, and it is this they ask for they know it waits for them, and it will seek them out and find them somewhere, sometime, in some form that evens the account they owe to God. They would escape him in their fear, and yet he will pursue, and they cannot escape. Many years ago, I believed that I had done so many things wrong, that I had taken all of these terrible things, I had put them into a big bank vault, I had turned the big handle on the door, and I was going to keep all of those secrets in there, hidden forever. I don't know why I thought that I could hide my secrets from God. This is 100% not true, my friends. We cannot hide our secrets from God. It was only when I reached such a terrible bottom of pain and suffering that I wanted to kill myself. I was shown a way out in which I brought all of those things one by one out into the sunlight. I faced God and I allowed myself to let every single one of those things go. Today I do that on a daily basis. I don't even put anything into the bank vault. I recognize that when I've done something wrong, all I need to do is bring it to God. If I've hurt someone, make it right when possible, and then let it go. Only the ego tells me that I need to continue to punish myself for what I have done wrong. Let's keep reading. If sin is real, salvation must be pain. Pain is the cost of sin, and suffering can never be escaped if sin is real. Salvation must be feared, for it will kill but slowly, taking everything away before it grants the welcome boon of death to victims who are little more than bones before salvation is appeased. Its wrath is boundless, merciless, but wholly just. This paragraph is talking about old-time religion, in which the belief is that our life here on earth is meant to be a life of endless suffering. We are these worthless worms. We are terrible sinners, and the only way that we will ever reach relief is when we die and go to heaven. That is not what God is telling us here in A Course in Miracles. In fact, the opposite is true. Salvation is right here, right now, where we let go of the idea that we are separate. We are one with God and all of creation. Let's keep reading. Who would seek out such savage punishment? Who would not flee salvation and attempt in every way he can to drown the voice which offers it to him? Why would he try to listen and accept its offering? If sin is real, its offering is death, and meted out in cruel form to match the vicious wishes in which sin is born. If sin is real, salvation has become your bitter enemy, the curse of God upon you who have crucified his Son. Let's talk about it. We believe in a punishing God. We believe that God is just out there keeping score. Look at what she's done now. Oh dear, look at that. Keeping score, one thing after another. We will be afraid of that God. That is not the God that A Course in Miracles shows us, my friends. God is love, pure and simple, unconditional love. We do not need to be afraid of God, my friends. Let's read on. You need the practice periods today. The exercises teach sin is not real, and all that you believe must come from sin will never happen, for it has no cause. Accept atonement with an open mind, which cherishes no lingering belief that you have made a devil of God's Son. There is no sin. We practice with this thought as often as we can today, because it is the basis for today's idea. There is no sin, my friend. It is an illusion. It does not exist. Yes, in this human form, every one of us makes mistakes. And yes, we do need to bring those mistakes out into the sunlight and look at them one by one and let them go. Make amends wherever we can, and then we let them go. There is no sin. Let's read on. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin, and suffering is causeless. Joy is just, and pain is but the sign you have misunderstood yourself. Fear not the will of God, but turn to it in confidence that it will set you free from all the consequences sin has wrought in feverish imagination. Say, God's will for me is perfect happiness. There is no sin. It has no consequence. So should you start your practice periods, and then attempt again to find the joy these thoughts will introduce into your mind. Wow, this makes me eager for my practice periods today, my friends. Does it do the same for you? We'll talk more about that at the end of today's lesson. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin and suffering is causeless. Every single time that we suffer for any reason, my friends, let's stop and remind ourselves there is no point to this suffering. There is no reason to suffer. I am the one who causes my suffering. I literally choose to suffer. Joy is just, and pain is but the sign you have misunderstood yourself. With the help of A Course in Miracles, we can come to understand ourselves more and more and tap into this priceless gift of joy that God promises to us every day. Let's finish today's lesson. Give these 5 minutes gladly to remove the heavy load you lay upon yourself with the insane belief that sin is real. Today, escape from madness. You are set on freedom's road, and now today's idea brings wings to speed you on and hope to go still faster to the waiting goal of peace. There is no sin. Remember this today and tell yourself as often as you can, God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth because there is no sin. What beautiful words. You are set on freedom's road. We are on the road, my friends. Never doubt it. If you have been with us now for 101 days, you are definitely on freedom's road. We may fall off every once in a while. We may go in the ditch. We may even stumble and fall, but we can keep picking ourselves up and come back onto freedom's road. And today's idea brings wings to speed you on and hope to go still faster to the waiting goal of peace. Let's keep coming back to today's idea. God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth, because there is no sin. I love today's lesson. I hope you do too. Let's talk about our practice periods for today. First thing in the morning, last thing at night, we read or listen to today's lesson and then sit in silent meditation for 5 minutes and allow these ideas to sink deep into our being. God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth, because there is no sin. We also want to stop for a minute or two every hour and remind ourselves of today's idea, and particularly any time that we are upset for any reason, to simply say today's idea. God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth, because there is no sin. Thanks so much for listening right until the end, my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, please share the love. Tell others about these videos. Encourage them to start at lesson 1 and only do 1 lesson a day. Are you ready for our special treat? We've been waiting for 2 hours out here in the hot sun. Thank goodness for an umbrella. We have a bit of shade right now, but for a lot of this stretch, there's been no shade at all. So there's my sweetie. He's a trooper. He's standing there. I'm just going to show you the line, just to give you an idea of where we started 2 hours ago. Standing out here in the hot sun. Right now we have a lovely breeze, so I'm grateful for that. The line is much shorter now, but I just wanted to give everyone a sense of how they do things in Mexico. Don't get me wrong. We are beyond grateful that we were able to get our vaccination here and now our booster. The gifts of being a resident of Mexico. We have all our papers, so we're entitled to all the same advantages of a naturalized Mexican. And we're just so happy today that we're getting this and we can start to enjoy something close to normalcy again. We've been pretty much living in isolation for the last year. No going out to restaurants, no visiting with friends, unless we were 6 feet apart in the out of doors. Here in Mexico since November, we have been, again, isolating. My day has consisted of walking the dog, maybe a run, and a swim in the ocean with my friend Susan. Okay, so at this point, we'd been standing out here for about an hour. We got to this little patch of shade. You would have thought that we had found the Garden of Eden. Everybody was so relieved and grateful to have that. A lot of us are using umbrellas. We have a little umbrella that we're using, and that certainly has helped. But getting to these little patches of shade is really wonderful. So up here, we're approaching the wall. This wall is where the line starts now. And partway up the wall is where we were the first time that we came for our vaccine, for the first shot, and that wait was 4 hours. So we're just past the 2 hour mark now, and who knows how much longer it's going to take. But it is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're in the real heat of the day. Should have listened to Bryce. He said, let's go at 6 a.m. And I said, well, let's just go with the time that we've been assigned, which was 1 o'clock. So we compromised. Bryce said, when we found out that our assigned time was 1, Bryce agreed to wait. So here's the line, all these hot people standing here hoping and praying that this comes to an end soon. And over here we have people just taking the opportunity for a bit of shade, a little bit of social distancing. Here's the line. Pretty soon we're gonna come to my sweetie. Trying to concentrate on these cobblestone streets so that I stay upright. There we are. Lots of people, lots and lots of people just waiting. Everybody seems to be very patient, taking good care of each other. There's my Brycey standing there. Oh, he's moving along. The line is progressing, so that always gives us a little shot of joy. Hey, Brycey. And this nice man has been holding this big umbrella for his family all this time. There have been a couple of really neat stories. One, this couple right here came and they've been standing in line for their parents. Mom and Dad have just recently arrived and have gone to park the car. So that's pretty incredible. Families tend to take good care of each other in this country. It always warms your heart when you see it. There we are, the line's still going. Here's the interesting thing though, when we get to the front of the line, we're only halfway there. Because at the front of the line, what's going on is they're letting people in 20 at a time. And then you go in and fortunately they finally have chairs for you to sit in and you're under a big shade canopy. So you see in there, I don't know if you can see, I'll show you later once we get in there. And here's the ice cream man. Pretty smart, pretty clever marketing. By the time we get up here, I'm going to be ready for an ice cream. I can tell you that. I'm going to wait though, because if I bought it now, carried it back for Brycey, it would be melted by the time I got it to him, because he's quite a ways back. So this is the system. These people have had their second shot, and when somebody leaves, somebody else gets to go in. That's the system, friends. God's will for me is perfect happiness. Have a perfectly happy day today, my friends. I love you.